For the second time, Marina felt that same anguish as she said goodbye to her great love. Her heart was heavy, and the feeling that fate was conspiring against them overwhelmed her as the train approached. One last look at the station seemed to mark the time to leave, but this time, something changed. "I won't let you go this time," he said. Would the outcome be different this time? Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is the Linda's Stories channel. I hope you enjoy this story. Marina had always been passionate about photography. Since she was little, her eyes would light up when she saw the world through the lens of a camera. Now, at 22 years old and studying arts in college, she finally had the opportunity to embark on a journey she had long dreamed of. A train trip through the countryside, capturing images of the unique architecture of small towns. With a backpack on her shoulders and her inseparable camera hanging around her neck, Marina boarded the train on a sunny summer morning. The carriage was old, with wooden seats and large windows that offered a privileged view of the swiftly passing landscape. The smell of fresh coffee coming from the dining car mixed with the aroma of old wood, creating a nostalgic atmosphere that Marina loved. At each stop, she eagerly got off to explore. She walked along the cobblestone streets, admired the squares with their bandstands and fountains, and photographed the colourful facades of the colonial houses. Marina felt like an explorer discovering hidden treasures at every corner. It was during one of these stops that fate had a surprise in store for Marina. The town was small, with no more than 10,000 inhabitants, but full of charm. While photographing the main church in the central square, Marina didn't realise she was walking backwards. Suddenly, she bumped into someone, almost dropping her precious camera. "Whoa! Watch out!" exclaimed a male voice as firm hands grabbed her shoulders, preventing her from falling. Marina turned around, ready to apologise, and her eyes met a pair of green eyes and a warm smile. The young man, who appeared to be about her age, had tousled brown hair and was wearing a faded t-shirt with the name of a band. "Sorry, I was distracted," Marina said, feeling her cheeks blush. "That's okay, it happens," he replied, still smiling. "I'm Lucas. Nice to meet you." "Marina," she introduced herself, extending her hand, which Lucas gently shook. Lucas was a local resident, born and raised in that small town. He worked in the family construction business but dreamed of seeing the world. His eyes sparkled when he talked about distant places he wanted to visit. What was supposed to be just a one-day stop turned into 3 unforgettable weeks. Marina and Lucas spent their days exploring every corner of the town. He took her to places only locals knew: a hidden waterfall in the nearby forest, a viewpoint with a view of the valley, a small cafe on a narrow street that served the best carrot cake Marina had ever tasted. At night, they would sit in the square and talk for hours. They spoke about their dreams, fears, and hopes. Marina would talk about her desire to become a renowned photographer, capturing the beauty of the world through her lens. Lucas would share his yearning for adventures, for getting to know different cultures, and experiencing new perspectives. As the days went by, a strong feeling began to blossom between them. It was more than just a mere attraction. It was a deep connection, as if their souls recognized each other. They exchanged looks full of emotion, their fingers naturally interlacing as they walked side by side. One starry night, sitting by the edge of a lake on the outskirts of the city, Lucas held Marina's hand and said softly, "I think I'm falling in love with you." Marina's heart raced. She looked into Lucas's eyes and saw reflected in them the same feeling that was growing in her chest. "Me too," she whispered, before their lips met in a sweet and passionate kiss. The 3 weeks passed like a breeze. Marina and Lucas experienced an intense and pure love, the kind that seems to exist only in romantic movies. They made plans for the future, imagining themselves travelling together, exploring the world and living adventures side by side. But reality soon knocked on the door. Marina needed to return to college. The day of departure arrived, bringing with it a mix of emotions, sadness for the separation, but hope for the future they had planned together. On the station platform, Lucas held Marina's hands, his eyes watery. "Stay!" he pleaded, his voice choked. Marina felt her heart tighten. You know I can't, Lucas. I have to finish my studies. But this is not a goodbye. Lucas nodded, understanding. I know. I need a few weeks to organise everything here. I'll tell my parents about my plans, train someone to replace me at the company. In 3 weeks I'll be coming to meet you, I promise. They sealed the promise with a passionate kiss. Marina boarded the train, her heart heavy but full of hope. As the train began to move, Lucas ran alongside the carriage, their hands still joined through the window. They ran this way until the train's speed separated them, their fingers slowly slipping apart. Marina watched Lucas's figure growing smaller and smaller in the distance, feeling a mix of sadness and anticipation. In 3 weeks, they would reunite and begin their great adventure together. The weeks passed slowly for Marina. Even in a time when cell phones still existed, she counted the days, eager for the promised reunion. On the appointed day, she went to her city's train station, her heart racing with expectation. Hours passed, trains came and went, but Lucas did not appear. Marina waited until the last train of that day, refusing to believe that Lucas wouldn't come. When the sun set and the station began to close, reality hit her like a punch in the stomach. He wouldn't come. He must have changed his mind, Marina thought, tears streaming down her face. I guess it didn't mean as much to him as it did to me. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. Marina tried to move on, but a part of her remained stuck in that summer, in that small town, with Lucas. 20 years passed. Marina, now 42 years old, looked at her life and wondered where that young woman full of dreams had gone. She had become an art teacher at a local school, a job she liked, but it was far from the adventurous life she had imagined for herself. On weekends, Marina still practiced photography, her true love. She did small jobs, photographing weddings, birthdays, and other events. It was good, but it wasn't enough. Every photo of a happy couple at their wedding reminded her of the love she had lost and the dreams she had abandoned. Despite the years, Lucas's memories were still vivid in her mind. Sometimes she found herself thinking about him, imagining what her life would be like if he had shown up that day at the station. Lucas represented not just a lost love, but all the what-ifs of her life, all the adventures not lived, all the dreams not fulfilled. One day, Marina received a phone call from her longtime friend, Carrie. "Marina, I need a huge favour," Carrie said, her excited voice on the other end of the line. "My grandmother is turning 90 next month and we're organising a big party. I wanted you to be the photographer. I know you have a special eye for capturing moments." Marina hesitated. The town where Carrie's grandmother lived was several hours away. "I don't know, Carrie. It's a bit far." "Please, Marina," Carrie insisted. "Besides, it would be a great opportunity for you to break out of your routine and travel a bit. You always say you miss adventures." After some insistence, Marina finally agreed. Perhaps Carrie was right. Maybe it would be good to step out of her comfort zone a bit. On the day of the trip, Marina boarded the train with a mix of anxiety and expectation. As the landscape passed by the window, she found herself thinking about her last big train trip, 20 years ago. Memories of that summer came flooding back, bringing with them a wave of nostalgia. The sky, which had been clear when Marina boarded, grew increasingly dark. Heavy clouds formed on the horizon, and soon the rain began to fall, first in fine drops, then in a true downpour. The train slowed down, cautiously advancing along the tracks. Suddenly, a strong jolt shook the carriage. The train came to a complete stop. Over the loudspeakers, the conductor's voice informed that a landslide had blocked the tracks ahead. For safety reasons, all passengers were to disembark at the next station, where they would receive more information. When Marina got off the train, carrying her suitcase and photography equipment, her heart almost stopped. She knew that station, that city. It was the same place where, 20 years ago, she had lived the most intense summer of her life. The place where she had met Lucas. With trembling legs, Marina left the station. The rain had given a respite, but the sky was still heavy. The streets were exactly as she remembered. The same cobblestones, the same colourful houses, the same central square with its imposing church. Without thinking much, her feet took her to a small cafe on the corner. It was the same cafe where she and Lucas used to drink hot chocolate on cool afternoons. The bell on the door jingled as she entered, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped her. Marina sat at a table near the window, ordered a coffee, and watched the streets hustle and bustle, lost in memories. She was so absorbed in her thoughts that she didn't notice when someone approached her table. "Marina?" a familiar voice called her. She looked up and her heart stopped for a moment. There, standing before her, was Lucas. 20 years had passed, but she would recognize him anywhere. The same green eyes, now with small wrinkles at the corners, the same captivating smile, though slightly more restrained. "Lucas," she whispered, her voice almost faltering. For a moment, they just stared at each other, the 2 decades of separation weighing heavily between them. Then, as if awakening from a trance, they both stood up and embraced tightly, emotions overflowing. They spent the next few hours talking, catching up on life. Lucas shared that he still lived in the city and had taken over the family business after his father's retirement. Marina talked about her career as a teacher and her still burning passion for photography. They talked about everything except what really mattered until Marina couldn't hold it in any longer. "Why didn't you go?" she asked abruptly, her voice laden with emotions suppressed for 20 years. "Why didn't you show up at the station that day?" Lucas lowered his eyes, the guilt evident on his face. "Marina, he began, his voice choked. "The day I was supposed to leave, my father had a serious accident at one of the company's construction sites. He was between life and death for weeks. I couldn't abandon my family at that moment." Marina felt a mixture of compassion and frustration. "But why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you try to contact me afterward?" "I tried," Lucas replied, running a hand through his grey hair. "I called the number you gave me, but I never managed to reach you. I sent letters, but all of them came back. Over time, I thought that maybe it was for the best, that you deserved someone who could fulfill your dreams with you, not someone tied down by family responsibilities." Silence fell between them, heavy with the possibilities of what could have been. Marina looked out the window, seeing her reflection mingled with the image of the street outside. She saw the young woman from 20 years ago superimposed on the middle-aged woman she was now. "Did you fulfill your dreams?" she asked softly, turning back to Lucas. He shook his head negatively. "Not like I imagined. And you?" "Me neither," Marina replied with a sad smile. They remained silent for a few moments, each lost in their own thoughts, in the lives they could have lived, in the adventures they could have shared. The distant whistle of a train cut through the air, reminding Marina that she needed to leave. "I have to go," she said, standing up. "My train must be about to depart." Lucas nodded, a shadow of sadness passing through his eyes. They walked together to the station, the silence between them laden with unspoken words. On the platform in front of the train that would take Marina away once more, they looked at each other deeply. There was so much to be said, so many years to make up for. But time once again was not on their side. "Goodbye, Lucas," Marina said softly, turning to board. She took a few steps toward the train, her heart heavy. She was about to step onto the carriage when she heard hurried footsteps behind her. "Marina, wait!" Lucas's voice sounded, urgent and determined. She turned around, surprised to see Lucas running towards her. He stopped in front of her, breathless, his green eyes shining with an intensity she hadn't seen in 20 years. "This time I'm not going to let you go," he said, holding her hands. "No more dreaming. It's time for us to achieve." Marina's heart raced. "What do you mean?" "I mean that I'm tired of what-ifs," tired of wondering how our life would have been if we had pursued our dreams together. It's not too late, Marina. It's never too late for us to achieve our dreams. Marina looked at the train, at the crowded platform, and back to Lucas. She saw in him the same adventurous spirit, the same passion for life that had captivated her 20 years ago. With a radiant smile, she descended the last step, returning to the platform. "You are right," she said, feeling lighter than she had in years. "It's never too late." Hand in hand, Marina and Lucas left the station, walking towards a future full of possibilities. They didn't know exactly what destiny had in store for them, but they knew that this time they would face it together, realizing the dreams they had postponed for so long. As they walked away, the train departed without them, taking with it the doubts and regrets of the past. Ahead, a new path opened up, filled with adventures and discoveries. Marina and Lucas were ready to write a new chapter in their lives, a chapter with no what-ifs, filled only with let's go. And so, under the sky that began to clear after the storm, they took the first step towards their long-deferred dreams, proving that it is never too late to venture, to love, and to live the life we have always dreamed of. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with a number from 1 to 5 to let us know how much you liked the story. Also, watch the video that is currently on your screen. See you soon.